Hey, Retcon Raider here. Today's video is dedicated to Nodgoblin Nico and Rowan Church. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. Welcome back to Battle Brothers. So, let's not beat around the bush here. This is technically a new campaign world. You may have already seen me mention it on social media, but unfortunately I managed to somehow corrupt my saves over the weekend. I was trying to install a mod or two, mostly cosmetic stuff, and either there was a compatibility issue, or more likely I just did something wrong. Either way, the end result was the same. The saves were corrupted, and then they were backed up to the Steam cloud, so that was pretty much the end of that. Now, fortunately, it turns out the map seed not only determines the initial layout of your world map, but it also determines the 12 mercenaries you start with, so it actually wasn't that hard to start over from where we were in Episode 1. I did my best to stick to the way we played things in the first couple of episodes, and we're pretty much back to where we were at the end of Episode 2. That said, we've got slightly different equipment, Jeff's a backliner now instead of a frontliner, and we've picked up a couple of extra levels along the way, but otherwise, things should be pretty close to where they were before. Oh, but one thing you may have noticed is that we also did pick up a new member, Nodgoblin. Our drunken, pessimistic detailer. That's not exactly the best combination of traits, but given his star placement, I think he's got the makings of a pretty solid shieldman. Anyway, like I said, the map is still pretty much the same. We've still got the train loop, we've still got that bandit camp waiting for us just to the west of Brunnenthal, and we've still got a contract waiting for us here in Sandorf, so our plans really haven't changed. Of course, there's no accounting for the RNG, and based on the disappearing villagers icon there, it looks like we're up against a two-skull monster hunting contract this time around. Pretty far from ideal, but we need the cash, so let's see what we can do here. Ulfert the Younger's got a satchel with a scroll attached, but the name written on the paper is not yours. He weighs it carefully, the lumps of coins curving about his fingers, their chink and chanks muted. He turns to you. You recognize that name? You shake your head. The man continues. A week ago, we sent the famed Sir Lambert of here to go hunt down some foul beasts that have been terrorizing the town and surrounding farmstead for weeks. Do you know why this satchel has remained in my ownership? You shrug and answer, because he hasn't returned. Ulfert the Younger nods and sets the satchel down. He sits on the edge of his table. Correct, because he has not returned. Now, why do you think that is? I think it's because he's dead, but let's not be so negative. I think it's because the beasts out there require more. I think they require someone like you, Sellsword. Would you be willing to help us, now that this nobleman has failed? Well, considering we started the company to show up the nobility, yeah, we'll give it a shot. 660. That's pretty modest for a two-skull contract. On the bright side, the advance payment means we've got just enough gold to make our next payroll. Now let's go see what we have to kill to actually earn it. No tracks. Oh. Rabbit, always the sort to take one for the company, seems to have single-handedly helped the resolve of the men. As one sellsword explains it, I don't know how to explain it. As another, more articulate mercenary says, it's like he's more than just a sword for hire, you know? He's someone we can depend on, like a brother. But not a whole brother, obviously. More like a half-brother. A bro, if you will. Very nice. That gets us a few mood boosts, but more importantly, it gets us 3 permanent bonuses to resolve. Rabbit is the best. I've got to say, we're off to a pretty good start today. Not sure why we're not seeing any tracks, though. Oh, hold on. Oh, that would certainly explain it. You come across an eviscerated cow, with half of it cast atop a fence line and the other half scattered a good distance across the grass, about as far apart as its entrails would allow. An attachment of gore, if there ever was one. A farmer approaches, tipping his hat up out of his eyes. "Beasts on that. I didn't see them, if you was wondering, but I did hear this goat fark of a fiasco before you. Hearing it was good enough for me to stay low and out of sight. Please, if you're here to find those creatures, do so quickly, because I can't afford to lose any more livestock like this." Yeah, we'll certainly see what we can do. Ah, there we go. Pretty much the opposite direction of where we were headed. Oh, webnecked. And they are coming right at us. Now, individually, webnecked are actually pretty frail, but they're also deceptively dangerous, especially to low-level mercenaries like us. It may say that we're up against 9 of them, but realistically, we're actually looking at anywhere from 15 to 20 of them, so I think we're going to need some help here. Come on, right this way. Come get the juicy mercenaries. Oh, there you are. Ooh, let's head for that guard post. Ah, perfect. Now we just have to time this properly. Uh-oh. I might not have gotten that quite right. Okay. Looks like we did get that timing right after all. The swarm of webnecked scuttle towards the raiders' position. Eloise hurls a slingstone, smartly cracking one of the beasts across its armored back. Unfortunately, the inky darkness prevents any of the other slingers from finding their marks. The raiders hold steady as the Thalwalked patrol mobilizes around them. Undeterred, the webnecked continue their scuttling advance. Soldiers are glued in place, with strands of spider silk as thick as a man's thumb. The raiders leap into action as King thrusts the tines of his warfork into 2 of a webneck's 8 glittering eyes. As the beast reels, Drakith lunges forward, crushing one of the beast's grasping claws. Revenant shatters one of the spider's faces with his flail. Velen strikes another beast smartly, but the blow is absorbed by its thick, armored carapace. Quintus swiftly finishes a badly wounded webneck, then steps forward to help watch the soldier's flanks. Skelebit pushes his way past two soldiers, then hacks his cleaver deep into another chittering webneck. Nodgoblin drunkenly vaults over a fellow raider, plunging his blade deep into the wounded webneck, killing it on the spot. The rest of the raiders start easing their way forward. They can't let the soldiers do all the work. For their part, the Thalwalked Patrol performs admirably, churning through the spindly horde. Oh. Looks like Stileppo's helmet just barely turns aside a webneck's poisonous fangs. Quintus isn't so lucky, webbed down and venom pumped into his veins. Cazador keenly scans the battlefield before felling a badly wounded spider with a thrust of her trusty pitchfork. Nodgoblin continues, drunkenly pinwheeling his way through the battle, hacking into a webneck's leg. Eloise moves up, tugging at the fibrous strands that are binding Quintus to the earth. Sensing an opening, King lunges with his warfork, plunging it through a spider's neck. Fox artfully lunges past his drunken companion, skewering another eight-legged freak. With the slingman's able assistance, Quintus just barely claws his way free. Stileppo moves in, cracking one of the creature's joints with his sturdy club. The last of the beasts are surrounded. The raiders quickly move in, hoping to eke out a little more glory before the battle's end. And just like that, the battle was through. The Thalwalked Patrol had done the heavy lifting, but the raiders had made a fair accounting of themselves. Not much loot, but we did have to split it with the patrol. The spiders litter the field like they would the corner of an attic. In death, they look like giant gloves, stiffly clasped together. You have the men wrench the legs apart to harvest evidence of the bestial remains. Alright, that's it. Let's get back to Sandorf. Though, we are pretty low on gold. It'll definitely be tight, but I think we can make it back before payroll is due. Very nice. Ulfred the Younger is hosting a birthday party when you enter his room with a giant dead spider and fling the corpse across the floor. Its bristly hairs hiss as they scratch across the stone, and its 8 legs scuttle upside down like some furniture of horror. And it strays sideways and pops off the corner of a bookshelf and flips onto its toes and prongs there, as though ready to pounce. Chaos breaks out as everyone screams and runs out the door or bails from the nearest open window, a litter of colorful confetti playfully twirling in their wake. The townsman stands alone amongst the emptied space and purses his lips. Truly, Sellsword, was that necessary? You nod and tell him that hiring you is necessary, and that paying you will still be very necessary. The man shakes his head and gestures with a fake donkey tail to the corner of the room. Your satchel's over there with 530 crowns, as agreed upon. Now get that awful thing out of here, and tell those fine folks the reveries need not be over. Okay, that gives us a little more walking around money. We seem to be okay on supplies, though we could use more food. Prices are pretty outrageous, though. Ah, I see. Looks like they got raided while we were away. They are still offering a pretty good price on amber, though. You know what? Let's sell off this axe and grab both of those piles of amber. We'll turn a quick profit selling them off in Thalwalkt. And back to Thalwalkt. Once we take care of those level ups, that is. Just like before, everyone gets student at level 2. Melee, melee defense, and fatigue. Very nice. Oof, that's a pretty rough roll for melee. We'll definitely put points into fatigue, though. And melee defense as well. He's also pretty frail for a frontliner. I like all our frontliners to have a minimum of 60 hit points, so we'll put his final advance there. Then we've got Fox, who's one of our potential sergeants in training. That means we'll put points into morale and range defense. Most of his other rolls are pretty bad, so let's boost his melee defense too, just to be on the safe side. And finally we've got Rabbit, one of our future crossbowmen. That means her advances go into ranged accuracy, fatigue, and I hate to pass up that +3 in melee defense, but we should really keep her focused on range defense instead. Onward to Thalwalkt. If we're lucky, we might be able to get into a good fight or two on the way there. There's payroll. We're cutting it awfully close again. Okay, let's sell off that amber real quick. Granted, that'll only get us about 60 extra gold, but Given the current status of our funds, that's more than enough to keep us out of trouble for a while. We should definitely pick up some food while we're here. Those prices are pretty good. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's grab those bandages too. Our pikemen will also be serving as company medics. And now to the west, to Brunnenthal. We'll do one full pass around the trade loop, and then I think it's time to take on the Reckless Brothers camp. Let's get moving. Ooh. A brigand thug and some brigand raiders. That means 4 of them. Looks like they just took out a caravan or something. Okay, I think that's something we can actually handle. Oh, hold on. We've got 4 slingers, and they don't have any range support at all, so let's just follow them down the road for a while. There we go. Not bad. I'm not really seeing anything here to be worried about. The mallet could be dangerous, but most of these guys aren't even wearing helmets. The band of brigands mill about uncertainly, as if nervous about approaching the raiders. There we go. We've got 2 who are rushing our lines. Make that 3. We'll have to make an example of that one. Eloise pummels the approaching thug with a flurry of sling stones, leaving the man dazed and reeling. Archibald manages to strike the brigand's hand. And Rabbit lands her own shot square in the center of the man's forehead, sending the unfortunate bandit to the ground. Jeff lands a glancing blow on the hammer-wielding bandit, though the man's chainmail takes the sting out of the impact. The rest of the brigands take pause as they momentarily reflect on their own mortality. The moment is over. The brigands resume their attack. And we've got contact. Alright, Raiders, let's do this. Revenant steps up, gleefully swinging his flail into a man's throat, crushing the unfortunate bandit's windpipe. Valen strikes a bandit smartly about the head. Then he grabs for the skinning knife on his belt. Quintus moves in, jabbing his spear into a gasping bandit's side. Archibald lands a shot square in a bandit's face, blood spraying from the unfortunate man's nose. Nodgoblin moves up, slashing wildly at the dazed swordsman. Fox steps in, mercifully finishing the choking bandit with a single thrust of his warfork. Dracketh takes a nasty blow, but his padded armor turns aside the bandit's axe. Quintus dashes the bandit axeman off his perch, then quickly claims it as his own. Cazador spears the dazed bandit with her pitchfork. Meanwhile, Nodgoblin continues madly swinging his sword, driving one bandit to the ground and slashing at another one for good measure. Sir Skelebit plunges his dagger through the towering bandit's hand and arm, leaving the man broken and desperate for escape. Revenant steps in with his own knife, brutally cutting the man's life short. Stileppo begins mercilessly beating the last of the bandits with his club. Nodgoblin viciously slashes the man, blood spraying everywhere. But the carnage is mercifully short, as the bloodied bandit finally falls to the ground. Nicely done, Raiders. Ah, very nice. Looks like that netted us 2 sets of low-grade chainmail. And a chain coif, too. Couple of falchions. And a fair amount of gold. Not bad. Not bad at all. Like I said before, Jeff is a solid backliner now. 2 stars in range, 2 stars in fatigue. He might actually end up edging out Rabbit as our best crossbowman, assuming he stays alive long enough. We will have to rely on RNG for the range defense. He's also got Iron Lungs, which is hands down one of the best perks in the game. And Lucky is pretty interesting too, though more for the special events it can trigger. Anyway, we'll boost his range accuracy. And his fatigue, of course. And I'm really tempted to start boosting his morale. I like to have at least 40 on all our men. Still, I think it's more important to prioritize range defense for now. +2's not much, but it's certainly better than nothing. Now let's get this new gear equipped. We'll toss our 2 sets of chainmail on our corner guards. That's our 2 militiamen, Quintus and Skelebit. Then we'll cycle the hand-me-down armor across our front line. We'll toss the coif to Rev, just to help keep him alive a little longer. And the leftover tunics will go to our backline pikemen. Hey, we almost look like we know what we're doing here. Oh, and we've also got these falchions to play with. Let's toss one of those to Nod Goblin. That's a pretty straight upgrade to the short sword he's packing. I guess we could swap out Sir Skelebit's Scramus axe too, but I think I actually prefer cleavers over swords. We'll just stick with what we've got for now. Alright, on to Brunenthal. I think we've got time for one more contract before we end the session. Ah, perfect. Though it does look like it's another monster contract. Wow, those are some pretty good prices on food. Ah, right, because of the harvest event. Alright, we'll stock up while we're here. Oh, a thief. I would love to have a thief. Determined and lucky. Not the best traits, but definitely not bad either. Yeah, let's take a chance here. Wow, I was hoping for another frontliner, but 3 stars in ranged. I'll certainly take it. Alright, Herman the Thief becomes Rowan Church. Welcome aboard, Rowan. We'll just toss him in reserve for a moment. We don't have enough ranged weapons to go around. Okay, let's check out that contract. Horst of Brunenthal's looking out his window when you find him. There's a goblet in his hand, and there's nothing but silence outside. He turns to you, almost somber. When you came here, did you realize how quiet it was? You remark that you did, but you're a sellsword who looks the part. It's just what you are accustomed to. Horst of Brunenthal nods and takes a drink. Ah, of course. Unfortunately, it isn't that people are afraid of you. Not this time. We have had people being attacked these past weeks. Beasts of some sort are on the loose. We know not what they are, but only who they take. We've pleaded with our lord, of course, but he has done nothing to help us. His next drink is a long one. When he finishes, he turns to you, empty cup in hand. Would you go hunt these monsters down? Please, sellsword, help us. Well, how can I say no? Once again, the raiders will succeed, where the nobles have failed. Alright now, let's take a moment to rearrange our lineup here. We do have a couple of spare pitchforks, so we can at least slot Rowan in the back line. Ooh, and we can toss that knife to one of our frontliners. There you go, Nod. Now we just need to realign our front and back ranks. A little off-center, but yeah, that should be good. Okay, A peasant hacking firewood straightens up before you. By the gods, it is nice to see you, sirs. I thought I heard word of some sellsword stomping about, looking for the beast terrorizing these parts. You ask if he's seen anything that might help. He pitches his hands over the pommel of his axe. Can't say I have, no, but I've heard some things. I know a man and woman not far from here got taken. Well, they disappeared together. Word has it they dead in the woods now, barnacled up in the trees, hanging loosely by the gut, you know? Or wait, maybe they just gone off on their feetsies to shack up together. Hell, that gal hated her father, and the kid was just a nobody with a flare of good looks and a charming tongue. Yeah, that makes sense. He pauses, then glances at you. Anyhow, I'm certain those monsters are afoot. Keep an eye out, sellsword. Gosh, thanks. And I'm already having second thoughts about putting Rowan in the back line. We'll put him up front instead, at least until he hits level 2. I mean, he's got better defense skills than most of our frontliners. I don't want you to have to sit through this again, though, so we'll hit the pause button real quick. We'll be right back. And we are back. We're re-equipped, rearranged, and ready to go. And I should mention that I actually started chasing down the monsters before I realized I'd forgotten to turn the recorder back on, so they're just up the road, angry and waiting for us. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with here. And there they are, a flock of almost a dozen Noxerror. The fact that they're actively trying to chase us down is not a good sign. These guys clearly think they're stronger than a group of 15 mercenaries, so let's do the same thing we did with the webneck. We'll retreat back along the road here, let them follow us for a while, and hopefully we can find some impromptu reinforcements to help us. Trade caravan. Well, I feel kind of bad about this, but they'll have to do. Let's just hope they can put up a fight. Okay, let's do this. The Retcon Raiders rally to the defense of a caravan under siege. Yeah, we'll go with that. Jeff lands a glancing blow on one of the larger Noxerror, but it does nothing to discourage the ravenous horde. The rest of the raiders stand firm, awaiting the ghouls' approach. The first of the beasts lunges into combat with surprising ferocity, tearing into Valen's armor. A larger Noxerror lumbers forward, shredding Revenant's sturdy leather with a single swipe of its brutish claws. Cazador plunges the tines of her pitchfork into one of the creature's sides. Valen stuns the beast that attacked him, buying himself some precious time. The larger Noxerror is barely phased as Revenant smashes his flail upside its head. Sir Skelebit brutally hacks down the stunned Noxerer. Now the battle has officially changed. We have to keep these corpses away from their flesh-hungry brethren. Fox stabs into the larger Noxerer with his warfork, pushing it to the brink of death. Stileppo strikes down the first of the larger Noxerer, but now another fresh corpse is littering the battlefield. The rest of the horde rushes forward, eager to feast upon the flesh of their fallen. Quintus keeps the horde at bay, if just briefly, but their hunger is too great. King's warfork bites deep, puncturing one of the beast's lungs. The rest of the raiders brace themselves. The worst of the battle has yet to come. Draketh strikes down one more, but now the horde retaliates. Sir Skelebit is savaged by their tiny claws, his armor barely protecting him. Draketh is similarly mauled, his leather armor barely holding together. The caravan guards quickly rush to support them, one of them plunging his spear through a Noxerer's hand. Nodgoblin lops one of the creature's ears off, a sneer of determination on his blood-flecked face. Rowan slashes into the freshly grown horror that has sprung up before them, but the beast is merely enraged. Fox plunges his warfork into the beast's chest, its freshly stretched hide beginning to split and peel. Jeff lands 2 shots in rapid succession, leaving the beasts teetering and ready to flee. Draketh crushes a smaller Noxerer's hand, rendering its claws useless. Sir Skelebit lands a blow as well, splitting a Noxerer's face wide open. Quintus swiftly slays the wounded beast before him, with Revenant swiftly following his example. Another beast falls before Stileppo's bludgeon. One of the Noxerer tries to flee, and Stileppo crushes it to the ground, battering its body beyond recognition. Filthy claws bite deep into Valen's flesh. Rowan clears the last of the northern line, and the caravan guard, sensing victory, rush to reinforce the southern flank. Fox pierces yet another Noxerer, its lung collapsing with a sickly pop. Spying the blood soaking through Valen's tattered armor, Cazador fiercely forces the last of the Noxerer back. The rest of the raiders quickly move to converge on the beast, eager to cut it down before it can make good its escape. Rabbit lands a glancing blow, but it's deflected by the creature's horn. Sir Skelebit hacks down one of the smaller beasts, leaving an opening for Valen to quickly withdraw. Stalepo crushes the last of the smaller Noxerer into a bag of bleeding flesh and broken bones. Round 5. Just one more beast stands, and the company swiftly converges on its position. Fox readies his bandages, binding the worst of Valen's wounds. The last of the beasts is a larger Noxerer, alone but still fiercely dangerous. His confidence buoyed by drink, Nodgoblin wades into battle, but his drunken swing goes wide. Eloise lands a glancing blow with a hurled stone, and Cazador quickly follows suit with her pitchfork. Drakith cautiously moves in, flanking the beast with Nodgoblin. And Jeff lands 2 well-placed stones, bruising flesh and shattering the beast's resolve. Whew, I'm not gonna lie, that fight was starting to stress me out. We've basically won it now. Revenant moves in, striking one final blow, and the last of the beasts is felled. Though we certainly had to work for it. We've got a lot of damaged equipment and minor flesh wounds. Looks like Nodgoblin's gained a level. I'd say he's earned it. Ah, a grisly pile of Noxerer parts. Delightful. The Noxerer's dead body looks more rock than beast, as it lays flat and unmoving. Flies are already coupling inside its mouth, sowing life on the frothy remains of death. You order Rabbit to take its head, for Horst of Brunnenthal will be expecting proof. Whew, back to Brunnenthal. Oh, and we didn't even lose any caravanners, so I don't even have to feel bad about using them as bait. I mean, protecting them on the road. A steely-eyed Horst of Brunnenthal leans forward to get a good look at the Noxerer head you brought in. That is quite the sight, mercenary. I'm happy you have brought it to me. He leans back. Leave it on my desk. Maybe I can scare the children with it. The little gits are getting too used to fineries, methinks. He snaps his fingers, and a servant comes to give you 400 crowns. Okay, that leaves Brunnenthal in pretty good shape. We've also got a little bit of money to play with now, but we really shouldn't spend too much. I guess we can dump that sackcloth. And I think we've got enough supplies to get by for now. Oh, and let's take care of Nodgoblin's level up. Now, we do want him to be a frontliner, but obviously we'll keep him focused on defense for now. Yeah, I think that looks good. We'll just have to hope we get luckier with melee accuracy on future level ups. Alright folks, we're well past the 40-minute mark, so I think that brings us to a pretty good stopping point for the episode. Again, sorry about the soft reset. I'll try to be more careful in the future and make sure it doesn't happen again. I will say though, I'm a little surprised at just how consistent the new campaign world is with the old one. So, I guess if you'd like to explore the campaign world we're currently traveling through, feel free to grab a copy of that map seed for yourself. Anyway, we're hitting the pause button for now, but we'll pick up here next time, as we continue working our way around the trade loop and, hopefully, get ourselves ready to take on our very first bandit stronghold. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Battle Brothers, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official YouTube channel, the official Facebook page, the official Twitter feed, or the store pages on Steam and GOG. Links are in the description.